Hello, everybody. Welcome to Legends of Logomancy, the best TTRPG stream this side of Monday nights from Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a bunch of shiny new faces here tonight with us. And tonight's a little special because we are trying out Girl by Moonlight, a new TTRPG system based on Blades in the Dark, by our good friend Andrew and produced by Evil Hat Productions. If you play Blades in the Dark, you're not going to be thrown for too much of a loop on most of the mechanics, but there's some really cool stuff here that is unique because y'all get to be magical girls and mechs, and it's going to be a good time. Melissa, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. I'm very excited to be back, and I have been anticipating this for weeks and weeks, and I am really excited. This is gonna be fun.
Excellent. Excellent. Manders, how you doing?
Sorry?
How you doing?
I'm super nervous and excited, and yay.
Life is okay. It's going to be all right.
Life is fine. Just let me get out of me and into my mech, and I'll be good.
Well, Alex, how's your day going?
Great so far. First time on the stream. Happy to be here.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what you pull out for us. It's going to be a good time.
We'll see.
Nadine, how's your day? I cannot hear you if you're speaking.
My day is great. Technology is awesome. This is where we are. How's everybody else doing?
It's been a long day so far. I'm looking forward to a little bit of the silly and not having to roll any dice whatsoever. Because as the director, I have people to do that for me, and those people are you. You roll all the dice. I don't have to roll anything. It's great. I just tell you how bad you fail.
Perfect.
That's
Right.
how I do. So that said, we're gonna run through a couple of mechanical things first. And so I'm gonna need everybody open up their placemat, their play card. We're using Roll20. If you also want to try Girl by Moonlight, you can actually just load it up in Roll20. Everything's included in there, ready to play. Off you go, run to the races. We are in season 2 of An Idol for All Time at this point. And, you know, it's been a long road getting from there to here, not to quote some Star Trek or anything like that, but I want everybody to go into the chat and roll me 4d6 and drop the lowest. Now, for everybody out there familiar with Blades in the Dark, this is going to seem really odd, because it is, and it's a callback to other systems that started back in the day. So take that number, affix it in your mind, and what I want you to do is mark that number. So, for example, Melissa, dropping the lowest, it looks like you've got 13.
Yes.
Go into your sun, moon, and stars and mark off 13 points of XP and level up your abilities. Within sun, moon, and stars, if you get to 6 XP, you get to gain proficiency in one of those things. If there are any extras that you can't spend to level up, you can feel free to leave them in there because the XP that you accumulate during each session might do that for you. Not in the XP playbook section. There's a little XP bar in each of the individual sun, moon, stars areas. I am looking at your character sheet as you do it. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
I don't feel called out or judged at all. It's okay. It's not like this is my first time doing this.
This is a technique because I don't want you guys to start off with just the bare minimum. I want you to be really competent in what you're doing, and I want you to be really confident in what you're doing. So once you've filled up your bar to 6 and leveled something up, you can empty out your bar again and do what you need to do.
And if we don't use it all, we can leave it in wherever it overflowed into.
Correct. So you can
Right.
either leave any of that remainder XP in your bar, or you can contribute to the Iliad's XP bar,
I would
which
like
can be
to
used to upgrade your skybound battleship that transports your super cool mechs.
I would like to give 1 point of XP to the Iliad, please.
Yeah.
Now, how many times has somebody said that aloud? Absolutely. Anyone else?
Yeah, I've got a leftover XP. And so we can put the XP into our engine.
Into the Iliad.
Oh, into the Iliad. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
I'll take that extra one and put it in there too. I just I leveled up conceal since my
Perfect.
engine has concealment abilities.
I like it. So we
I
got
leveled
2
up
into there.
both empathize and forgive.
Nice.
Quick question,
Shoot.
just because I'm a little bit new to this bar
Of course.
system. And this is my first time playing it. So just on the top right where it's got the bars, that's where we just have the amount of XP and we just distribute it?
That's correct.
Mhm.
So in the top right where it says sun, moon, stars, I'll use Amanda, I'll use you as an example here.
Sure, I haven't put anything in it yet
So
because I'm still thinking.
So you've got 9 points based on what
I
you
do.
rolled. So it'll take 6 points to level up something in sun or moon or stars. The XP bars are above where you're clicking.
Sure.
So you've got 9, so you could level up any of them once, with a little bit remaining left over. Likewise, Nadine, you've got, by the looks of it, 10.
Yeah.
So you can fill up each of those bars. Once you hit 6, you can select a default ability only. So something in the first center line, if you would. And yeah, it'll give you guys a little bit more competency as you go. So Amanda, if you can jump from 2 in perceive to 1 in one of the other ones, just on the first line there,
Sure.
all level 1 skills, if you would. It's a gimme, but I don't want to min-max, folks.
Okay. I placed my thing in under empathize, and then that's it, right?
Let's take a look here. Yeah, that looks good. So you had 10 points. 6 of it would have let you level up empathize, then you still would have had 4 left. So you can choose any of the sun, moon, or stars to put those 4 experience points. And for example, as we play through the game, for those that aren't familiar with Blades in the Dark, when you do something with either Defy, Empathize, or Express, you'll get an XP point in the sun XP bar. So the more you do those things, the better you get at them. That's how we denote that for the system. XP is calculated at the end of every session. So you put your 6 into sun, you can click the end of the XP bar and it'll wipe it away because it shows it as spent. And then, yeah, you're good. That said, with the mechanical stuff coming out of the way, the series that we're playing tonight is on a Sea of Stars. It's from the backer kit for Girl by Moonlight. Essentially, there's a lot of mecha combat kaiju fight goodness that's coming into this. The games are put together through a series of choices that the players make during session 0. So everything that you're going to see tonight and over the next several weeks it's a story crafted by the people you see before you. It's not something that I just whipped up and I'm throwing at them. We all kind of collectively decided what's happening and who the adversaries are and that sort of thing. Collective storytelling at its finest. There are 2 abilities that are specific to the scenario that we're running. Everybody gets a series ability, and it's known as sync ratio. So again, for the folks playing along at home, whenever any of the players receive an assist from their party members and their action succeeds, they drop 1 stress point, which is very, very important in Blades in the Dark. And when you use a link to help an ally, they gain 2 dice instead of 1 dice, because the power of your magical friendship will supersede all events. Likewise, when they're in a transcendent state, this is your typical, it's not Meatball Head, it's Sailor Moon, gaining special abilities and magical life force. They all have heavy gear, the ability to shake off a bunch of really damaging harm because nothing gets through the power of friendship. That said, why don't we run into our initial story for tonight? Bear with me half a sec. Here we go. Dun, 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 dun. You are humanity's saviors, and the top watched form of entertainment, all wrapped into one. To gain a sense of understanding, we need to first travel 65 million years into the future from where you all find yourselves today. The date is 21XX because we love them Mega Man dates. A breakthrough has been made in the study and understanding of time, specifically taking energy at a quantum level from the same particles further downstream or further upstream in its own timeline. Dubbed chronotech, humanity quickly moved to ensure that this seemingly limitless technology propelled the world into a new age of prosperity and abundance. I'm just kidding. It was hoarded by the elite. It was pushed beyond understanding and sense. And like Spaceballs, squandering 10,000 years of air in 100, humanity started bearing witness to time itself unraveling from the street. But, it's only about half the people that you would talk to actually believed that that was the case. Everybody else was just like, no, it's just big time trying to control you. Distinct points in each of the world's oceans began emitting a dark, effervescent void. Think very bubbly. With large ball creatures made of mouths devouring anything that delved too deep into the void. Then, like kaiju coming from the oceans and attacking from beyond the veil, came humanity's punishment. Warped megafauna, strangely reminiscent of divine beasts out of mythology. Fire-breathing lizards, multi-headed monsters, warped humanoids, that giant sloth that almost ate Anne that one time. Like,
I was fine.
Eventually, it was fine. Everybody's fine. Shook it off, walked it off. It was good. All monsters destroying cities and technology and returning to the sea when repelled, almost like a monster of the week. The bigwigs formed the Bastion, a city comprised of all the best individuals throughout history as a means of safeguarding our access to chronotech. Our access to chronotech. And with one massive, ill-advised push, shunted the city to its current location and your home. A reasonable 15-minute drive from the shoreline of the Tethys Ocean on Pangea 65 million years in the past. Society in the Bastion relies on something known collectively as the process. A series of efficiency stratagems presented to every person on how to make the most efficient use of their time. Self-sufficiency is prized above all else. You don't waste someone's time. No pun intended. Slight pun intended. Procrastination is viewed as the ultimate act of disgust. And you, my friends, you are all paradoxical entities, products of people pulled from time and born here in the Bastion. But unlike others, you have nowhere else in history to call your own or resonate back to. And as a result, produce a unique time signature that allows you to interface with your epics, your engines. Drawing on the power of collective memory and morphic field technology, the best weapon humanity has come up with to defend itself against the divine beasts are living embodiments of stories told throughout human history. Emboldened and fed by a connection to each of their namesakes from every point in history. These living machines synchronize with the hearts of brave and caring idols who embody their virtues. The epics exist in a grass-filled nature preserve aboard the Iliad, your flying megaship and base of operations for all idle scrambles. The hangar aboard the Iliad has room for 8 epics, but there's only 6 that remain. You're not the first pilots. That said, why don't we go around the table? I'd like Xena to introduce themselves.
Xena is a very tall, willowy young woman. Her hair is curled around her face, framing it in a really nice way. Her eyes are pretty sharp. They're dark brown, almost hazel green, and she's got more of an olive skin tone. She's very much the kind of individual when you meet her for the first time has RBF, the resting land face. Completely just, she gives off a very standoffish energy, almost feels like an outsider to some folks. And she doesn't correct anyone when they think otherwise. She just has that kind of attitude of, I don't care, I'm doing my thing, don't talk to me. We'll see you on the other side, kind of like to the point aura. In general, she's pretty quiet and she doesn't really care about what other people think. And she will only do anything unless it's her captain telling her to actually do something with a bit of an eye roll, and then you'll find. And that's who Xena is.
What about Xena's partner?
I feel like her partner amongst her crew is someone who is completely the opposite of her.
The specifically your epic.
Sorry.
Your partner, yeah.
My partner is Beowulf, a very tall mechazoid, very sleek, almost like similar to her in a sense, very fast, shaped like a wolf. Very blue green. There is kind of like a pink gem just right in the center piece of the forehead of this creature, and that's where she kind of sits to look out.
I like it. Speaking of your captain, Captain Tamris.
So Tamris is very prim and proper. She has her hair tied back neatly into a bun. Her outfits are generally very businessy to business casual, well ironed. And she seems to always be keeping busy with the task at hand. A little all work, no play attitude. Yeah.
And your partner?
He's a big boy. His name is Goliath. He's well polished. His systems are always being calibrated. She takes very good care with him, but when she is seen trying to interface with him and trying to run diagnostics and spend the time, there's almost a little bit of a disconnection. She's very much trying to get into bigger shoes. She doesn't quite feel worthy.
Chat's asking for everybody to stand up and twirl during your transformation sequence. And
oh God.
I'm partially here for it. Partially.
We'll all be out of frame. It'll just be like him.
It'll be great. It'll be a good time. Anne.
Much to the captain's, she has a lot of patience for me. Anne is the antithesis of the captain in a lot of ways. She is very almost brash. She is medium height with blonde hair put into really elaborate braids around her head. And there are ribbons running through, red and blue ribbons running through the braids. She is often seen with like little bits of ruffles and lace being sewn onto her otherwise very regimented attire that everyone has to wear when they're in their mech. She always seems to have replaced the buttons or have added some kind of little frills to the edge of her outfits. And when she is not on duty, she is often flouncing around in skirts. She gets a lot of side eyes from people who understand how much longer it takes to walk up or down the stairs when you are wearing skirts. And is generally pretty upbeat and is genuinely thrilled to be part of this team. Her partner is Romeo. Romeo is one of the smaller of the mechs, probably the smallest of the mechs with here. And Romeo is white in color and has silver and gold accents. But the most defining feature of Romeo is the billowing blue cape that he wears.
I love it.
And sits in a heart-shaped capsule right in the center of Romeo.
I feel like he'd have some kind of a Deegan or a mech rapier and maybe a chalice of some kind for, you know.
We haven't transcended yet. We'll get there.
Okay. I love it. Franklin.
So Franklin Albert is he's not quite short or tall. He's probably about 5'10". He's not very thick or thin. He's very average build, average height. He has glasses, but he doesn't need them anymore because, of course, they've made all of us get various surgeries and implants to do things, but he still wears them. And he typically can be seen wearing sort of a denim coverall jumpsuit, and he has on a dress shirt with a little red bow tie underneath it, and a handkerchief to wipe grease and things away off his uniform when he used to be a lowly maintenance worker working to purge chronotons from the hull of your epics. Now he has his own epic, the Wizard, which looms tall overhead in the hangar. It's an odd, almost humanoid geometric shape, almost like a conglomeration of malignant triangles that are stacked on each other to be a person. And the surface is completely reflective, but it has sort of a greenish, goldish sheen depending on which way the sun is hitting it. And its featureless face is known to kind of creep people out if they accidentally walk into it.
I love it. Love it. One of the important things for keeping in mind for Girl by Moonlight are your relationships with each other. And there's a series of promises that everyone makes that reflect, we'll start with Franklin for that. Franklin has 2 promises to make to the people around him. One should be a naive promise, and one should be an impossible promise. And what would those be?
I think the naive promise is that he's going to work his hardest to become a real epic pilot. He, for whatever reason, he's the only person who has been able to get any combat effectiveness out of the Wizard. So that's the only reason he is on the team. That's so his promise is that he's going to work hard and be a real pilot and help everyone out.
Be a real boy.
Yes. His impossible promise is that he is going to end the war quickly. He doesn't want this to drag on any longer. He's got promises out there to people. That's his goal. Maybe he stumbled into it in a interview or something, but he said he's going to wrap this up as quickly as possible.
I like it. Go ahead and add those to your character sheet, to your playbook. I will stop calling it a character sheet in 3 episodes when we're done. Xena, what about you? For Xena, I believe you get a promise to your rival and a competitive promise.
Okay, so she kind of sees her captain, Tamris, as kind of her rival. So the promise to her rival is, I will always be first in the form of combat. That is just her promise. She is the vicious. She's vicious in battle. So she will always tell her captain, I will always be first before you.
I love it. And your competitive promise?
Her competitive promise is that she will just be first before everybody else.
Okay.
You're just targeting me on a second promise, just specifically.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Tamris, in response, for you, I believe you get a promise of martyrdom and a protective promise.
All right. So the protective promise is very easy. It's that there will be no future pilot deaths under her watch.
Mm.
And the promise of martyr is that there's going to be any sacrifice of any kind, excluding death, because no death on her watch. It will be made by her as the captain.
Understood. Go ahead and add those to your playbook on the top left corner. Anne. I believe
Anne
Anne
has a shared promise and 2 conflicting promises.
Yes.
Her shared promise is probably what allows the captain to overlook all of the faults, which is, I'm going to share that promise that there will be no deaths of these pilots. Of course. I can't wait. We're going to absolutely save the day. And as for conflicting promises, I am going to make a promise to so she's not very strategic minded. She's really just focused on like how everything kind of looks. I feel like she's trying to form relationships with Xena and Franklin. She's like, I'm always going to put you first. No, I'm always going to put you first. No, I'm always going to put you first.
I love it.
Yeah.
That said, with your promises made, your theme songs for your transformation sequences have now been selected based on the words that just came out of your mouth. You did this to yourselves. I love it. We open up in traditional Blades in the Dark fashion with our day-to-day stresses and our obligations. Who would like to go first?
Sure.
Anne, where would you find yourself during your day-to-day? Would you be aboard the Iliad? Would you be in town in the Bastion? Would you be conversing with Romeo? Where do we zoom in and pan that camera angle in to find Anne on this particular day?
Anne, in her day-to-day, she spends about 50% of her time with Romeo and the other 50% with this group. Anne holds herself pretty. She can be a little bit vain, and she spends a lot of time like primping her outfits and going up to her friends and being like, guys, I was thinking that maybe we could all have our outfits on the next stream mirror our mechs, you know? I think that would make for really increased views, and I really think that we should really lean into that next time. What do you think?
Immediately, Tamris looks up from some statistics that she's kind of watching, and she gives you a little bit of a "are you kidding me" face.
I've got paint swatches. I was thinking something in a blue.
Blue is nice. I'm not saying no, but does the paint come with a little bit more aerodynamic properties?
I mean, I picked the fast drying paint. It's all they sell now because, yeah, I mean, it loses a little bit of its allurement.
I love that. It's the most efficient paint.
I appreciate that you did look into it. I just worry that we'll be spending too much time on the aesthetics and not enough time on maybe pink, I guess. And she'll just kind of give up.
Thank you. You're not going to regret it. Thank
Alright.
you.
Okay.
And I'm gone. And I'm going to go see Romeo.
All right.
Oh God.
What have you done?
We move into the biome. This place is Epic Park. It's a massive green space. Slightly hazy when you walk through. Even looking at your skin and your hands, you see it, everything just kind of blurs a little, like walking through a mist. And you find Romeo staring longingly, standing on the grass, into a copse of trees where the ruins of an old castle seem to be. And Romeo is, you know, the smaller of the epics, but still stands about 50 feet tall, give or take. And in their state, like they're not like animals. They don't just like run around. But in this place, you could swear the last time that you saw him, he was sitting under a tree, and now he stands perfectly silently still on one knee, just looking out into the horizon, cape slightly billowing in the mist.
Anne walks up and puts her hand against the cool metal of Romeo's leg, and says, and her demeanor's a little different. She kind of glances around. She knows where all the camera points are around in the hangar. They're often streamed while they're getting ready, and makes note that the lights are off right now. They're not presenting, they're not launching, so nobody's tuned in right now. Mm-hmm. And she kind of calms down for a minute and just goes, almost time for you to get a chance to walk again, Toby. And feels the warmth from Romeo's, the cool metal warms just slightly. And it feels almost like there's another hand on her hand as she's touching the mech.
What does Anne feel about the scenario that she finds herself in. This place, the pressures that are put upon her, the obligations. How does she rationalize it? What does she feel inside?
Anne feels conflicted. She never wanted to fight. She loves to create and experience life, and feels like when they go out that everything that she wished when she joined the group, that they'd be able to achieve, that everything seems a lot more commercial, shall we say. But she can't stop coming back, not only because obviously we need to protect people from the onslaught of monsters, but this is the only time when her sister gets to walk and fly.
You get this flashback in your mind of your swatches left forgotten back in your quarters on the Iliad. And your idol manager, Jimmy Sweet, being like, no, it's perfect. I love it. It's great. They'll buy into it. Ratings going to go through the roof. This is going to be great. You just keep thinking with that head, and I'll just keep doing all the other thinking with mine, and you'll be great.
Anne has meticulously curated the image of the group to ensure as many likes as possible to continue the program.
Jimmy Sweet loves you to bits. Loves you to bits. Thinking of everything, I'd like you to make your obligation roll. Which is, in your case, you can roll sun, moon, or stars. I think in this case, it's probably stars that you're going to roll. It's all the same number in this case.
Yep.
This is about societal pressure and maybe something that you feel inside. So go ahead and roll your stars roll. For the audience, we always start with an obligation roll during the obligation phase. We take the number that Melissa just rolled, which is a 1.
Starting strong.
We we go 6 minus whatever the total of her roll was, which is 1. So that's a 5 left over.
Yep.
Anne has 5 points of stress on her meter. She is half full from eclipsing.
Well, that's a great start to the morning.
Let's go over to Xena for your obligation. Obligation is generally, it's a personal thing. It's not really involving anybody else. Your thoughts and opinions on what they're doing to keep you in line. This place, how it makes you feel. Is it natural? Is it unnatural? What are Xena's internal most thoughts on the matter? Where would we find her?
So Xena spends a good portion of her time with Beowulf, making sure Beowulf is fine. In terms of the cleanouts that Franklin used to do, Xena likes to just look after her own mech. She is definitely one of those kind of characters, like this is her mech, this is her partner, she's going to look after her partner.
Likewise, in the distance, you saw Anne come in through one of the hangar doors into this biome space, this arching snow globe of a misty park. And you find Beowulf in the goodest boy position, paws crossed, head down, just sitting by a stream, waiting. There's a particular crook off the front left paw that's just curvy enough to take a nap in most of the time.
Zena doesn't take naps. Instead, what she does is she brings in almost like a whole bunch of weird tech and gear that it's almost like she smuggled it in. And she kind of looks at her tech and she kind of looks at Beowulf and goes, salvage some things. I need to do an analysis of this. And in a way, she talks to Beowulf and tells Beowulf basically everything. But she keeps it very quiet. And when she had heard about Anne and her pink paint splotches, she kind of looks at Beowulf and just kind of pats him and goes, what do you think about having a pink carpet? Yeah, doesn't fit with the look either. Feel you. Okay, after this, I have to go to the den. But let's do an analysis, see how your systems are running, and then also let's see if this tech is compatible, and we'll see how we can mod you.
Based on your approach, I feel like you've been working long and hard at this. I'm going to get you to roll Sun. It's physically taxing, trying to do all of this by yourself and on the down low. So you can roll Sun by clicking Sun in the top right corner of your playbook. Nice. Sun, that's 2 6s, 2 critical successes. You are not stressed in the slightest. Ain't nothing gonna break your stride. Nobody gonna slow you down. Whoa. Franklin, for your obligation phase, where do they find you?
I think Franklin is leaving the Bastion. He has a place there sometimes where he likes to go, but he's leaving that. He's got his sweatsuit on, he's got a towel over his head, he's got a bottle of water, and he's jogging, and it's very much the Rocky jog as he's headed to the he's headed out there to his epic. He's gonna start training for the day, and so he's jogging through the Bastion, and people are occasionally cheering him on. Somebody throws him an apple, and I don't know what the different neighborhoods of the Bastion are like. Maybe they're each different time periods, but he definitely is like running through the Bronze Age period, and people are cheering. And then he's running up the steps of like the Parthenon and into like a very classic Philadelphia street, and then when he gets to the facility, finally, those massive bay doors and then the smaller security doors that he has to walk through just seem like the most intimidating thing in the world as he trudges in to work.
You notice as you run through town, there's a berth given to you by the populace, and it's not quite just you. It's also your entourage, because you're not allowed to go into the Bastion by yourself. Even when you're at your place, there's always security outside the door. Somebody parked across the street, watching, waiting, making sure that their assets are protected. And sometimes it gets a little out of hand. It seems a little unnecessary at this point, you know.
Yeah.
But fame has its costs. There have been interactions where people get too close. They get too much in your space. And as you push and physically exert yourself and just try and get through, you take in all the sights and sounds of everything. And does it drown out? Do you even hear the cries anymore? Or are you somewhere else?
He's trying to stick with it as best he can. He's paying attention, but it's starting to wear on him finally. It's really starting to get, it seems like every time he does this, it's kind of the same. And the excitement for him and for everybody else is lessening and lessening. So he's not sure. It seems like he's on the cusp of wanting a change.
as you push through and off not 200 feet back, there's a black car with some rather large men. And you think to yourself, I didn't order any large men. You tap your card, which is embedded in your arm, and enter into the Iliad proper. This whole facility is basically a cradle for the Iliad to rest upon. It's your base of operations. You're getting tired of the scenario. You're getting tired of the circumstance. You long for those days of freedom in the sky. And the promise of what comes next is probably a little daunting. You were the last of your current team to be able to transcend. It happened just in the nick of time. It happened right when it needed to. Because up until that point, you could only get by, you could make the wizard move. But it was only through gadgetry. And then something finally clicked and you realized maybe you have something to you just like everybody else does. Go ahead and roll me your obligation. In your case, it's going to be Sun.
Yeah. I think this is going to be him training as hard as he can. 3.
That looks like a 3, which means you're going to take 3 points of stress for your obligation. Tamris. Where do we find Tamris when she is on her own in a contemplative mood?
She would have been on the Iliad, specifically collecting video footage from the most previous mech battle.
Okay.
She has a point to prove, and she is trying to gather up as much information to almost make the equivalent of a PowerPoint presentation for this conversation that she's building up to have.
I love it.
And once go ahead, sorry.
As you're scrolling through, you're clicking through video footage, and it's just like random, like blaring heavy metal on one, and
oh god, turn that down.
And another is just like this raunchy bass line, as you see your partners being elevated by platforms and spinning around as clothes are sprayed on them. And you're like, ahead.
I don't care about this. This is a lot to get used to. I need specific moment.
And you see one file and it's yours specifically, and nope. Don't need that in my life.
Nope. A link to fan fiction. Gross.
Internet pop-up. The sheer amount of we don't call them false idols because you're real idols. The fervor attached to the 4 of you is somewhat overwhelming at times, and it's almost distracting to the point of the true mission. But everyone listens when you speak. It has a point. How do you feel about your government?
I feel that they have the power, and that even though We are celebrities of such, and we are a little bit more aware of how things could be different. She finds herself very much collapsing under the pressure of how to balance government versus what she believes is right.
You understand that half of what everyone knows about you that is true isn't actually true. But something calls to your memory, and it was several weeks ago, regurgitating a story about your life that was a lie to a child. Because it's part of the lore. You had to read the manual and learn all about who, Tamris is. And it hits in a weird way, because it's one of those the greater good sort of vibes, but at the same time it's kind of all bullshit. Go ahead and give me your obligation roll. For you, you've got sun or stars, and I think for you it's probably gonna be stars. Doesn't matter, it's the same roll, but one of those things.
0 bonus dice, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Great.
4. You're pretty steadfast, and there's my 12-year-old boy again. With a roll of a 4, you take 2 points of stress. Again, we start at a 6 and we minus whatever they roll for their obligation roll. You wrap your work aboard the Iliad, finding that footage that you wanted to look upon to make sure that you and the others had something to... You never waste a crisis. You build upon it as soon as you're able. Frivolousness aside, and frivolity and, press appearances being what they are, you have a duty to these people. And to yourself and the people that you care about. You note down the information you were looking for and set about your business. Which leads us into the downtime phase of every session. The downtime phase is generally about interconnections with others, sharing your thoughts, forming links. Every player gets 2 downtime actions each. There are things like making a connection, helping a friend recover if they're injured, working on a long-term project. These specifically relate to upgrading the Iliad if you have something in mind. Making preparations in case the Bastion's attacked by a giant divine beast. Why don't we loop back around to Anne? Anne, you spent some time with Romeo this morning and had some personal time, and you think of your friends, and you think of the scenario that you're in this ship, and the people not 15 minutes out from where you're at. Where do you go? What do you do? Set the scene for us. Who are you sitting with, and where are you doing it?
All
Are
right.
you aboard the Iliad? Are you in a coffee shop somewhere? Are you, in a place of ill repute?
So Anne is we're gonna say it's morning. Like it's not the same day that we were doing the other stuff, or how I don't quite understand the timelines.
Yeah.
So doesn't matter.
Everybody has a chance to kind of commiserate with themselves, and then you get time over the course of days and weeks between individual missions to make those connections, talk to each other, right? Share, build, grow.
Franklin! Franklin!
Yeah.
Franklin!
Yeah. I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
It's like it's 7 in the morning. You remember I told you there's that crepes place. It just opened around the corner. I have to take you.
Oh, yeah, I'm going.
Yeah, come
All
on.
right.
Come on.
As he gets dressed, so they're just really thin pancakes.
Yeah. Well, they've got toppings on them. You know, I know they got rid of the real whipped cream. It took too long to make, but the whipped stuff in the can's not too bad.
Well, yeah, okay, I'll give it a try, I guess.
Okay. And they only take to go. You know, I read about this book about how they used to have sit down restaurants, and now we have to take it to go. You know, save all the time. But I thought we could have lugs out a picnic. So come on.
Okay, yeah, let's go. As he kind of trudges along to the crepe place, the creperie.
You get some weird looks. One, because people are like, "Oh my god!" Pointing at you.
Like, hi.
You signed no fewer than 15 autographs getting here. But there's also some other folks that are like, they're just gonna go sit in a park. Almost a slanderous, sort of scandalous thing. You're just gonna sit? You're gonna do that with your time?
Anne pointedly doesn't respond to any of them. She's got a smile on her face. She's just doing her thing. What does Franklin think?
Franklin's got his nose buried in a book with the crates. It's the book is about epics. He's literally reading Beowulf.
Nice.
So he's trying to get through this. Like, I don't get it. If they knew that she was gonna come in there every night, why wouldn't they just blow it up when she shows up? It's one building, but it takes out the whole monster. That's what I would have done.
Well, you know, maybe the monster had something that they wanted to share with the world, you know?
I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, look, you lose the meat hall, and that's fine. But you get rid of the monster, then you could build a bigger meat hall. The possibilities are endless, but you gotta just get rid of that thing right off the bat.
I suppose that would be the most efficient answer, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm not a meat hall architect.
It's been nice having you on the team. And this is like the 3rd or 4th time that Anne has made a point. She's been watching you and noticed that, you know, you're always you're reading, you haven't quite joined in, and she's been making a pointed effort to be like, you are part of the group. Hello.
Would you say that you're analyzing him for the best course forward? How are you doing this?
I am trying to empathize with someone that is maybe in a position that wasn't what they thought it would be, which Anne really understands.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and roll empathize for making a connection?
Position is risky by default.
For empathize, it's gonna be. This is controlled.
It's controlled. Okay.
Yeah.
Standard effect.
Yep. 3.
I take the higher of these two in this roll because I have, so it's a 4.
Okay. Franklin, go ahead and add 4 points into your link with Anne.
Bingo.
Okay. So, Anne, that constitutes one of the actions that you can do in downtime. Was there a different scene that you wanted to look at too?
Yeah. She is not one that likes to break her promises. She's gonna go after finishing up crepes with Franklin and running off in a flurry of action. She goes up to find Xena.
I will say, Franklin, for your downtime, if Anne was one of the people that you'd like to roll for making a connection with, we can do that now and grab your second one later. But that's up to you.
Nope, I'm good.
All right. You go to find Xena. Now, there's both a good and a bad thing about being on a magical mechanical superhero team, and it's that you all have watches that are communicators, and they all have little trackers. It's like, computer, find Xena. And most of the time it's pretty accurate. Sometimes she's like, it's like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm doing my best. But on this particular day, it does find Xena. Where does it find Xena?
Xena is about 30 minutes outside of the creperie, having masked herself and has furtively taken like a baggie to go and has been dodging her not really dodging, but she's like making sure she's 2 steps ahead of her intelligence team, that's her security team after her, and also making sure that no one else in the public finds her, kind of like a wolf slinking past, going shadow to shadow almost, before she, and by the time Anne finds her, she's about 30 minutes away from where Captain Tamris is, drinking a matcha green tea latte and just walking very quickly towards Epic Park.
Right. Saddling up, you see your security detail far back. They give you a reasonably wide berth because you buy into the whole thing. You have never caused them a problem, and you're always so skilled at de-escalating anytime somebody gets too friendly, we'll say. And you at a brisk pace, you catch across the road 2 large, dark-skinned men huffing and wheezing and looking at each other and like speaking into their wrists quick and like looking around, and give them a little wave, and they look at you almost longingly, like, I could be on Anne detail. This is bullshit. And you briskly turn.
Xena!
You briskly turn the corner, and like, almost half squatted down, leaning against an info box. It's kind of like a mailbox, but it's way more efficient. You see Xena like picking through some remnants of a meal, out of a little to-go bag, and looks up at you.
Xena, hi!
And she stands up. She kind of towers a little bit over Anne and goes, "What's up?"
Oh, I just finished up breakfast. I was wondering what you were up to today.
Looks down at the bag. She's like, making sure that I don't give Tamris the other things, like just making sure that I've got her stuff here. Here. She gives you the bag. Can you give this to her?
Yeah, of course. Of course I can. I don't see very much of you around. She starts walking along with you. Like, I haven't seen you around the mess hall very much recently. Have you been spending more time in with all of the epics?
Yeah.
I didn't hear back about my swatch idea.
Pink doesn't suit Beowulf. Sorry.
Oh, I was thinking about that. I thought you might like this a little better. and she pulls out a deep, deep green ribbon, almost black, and goes, I know pink's not really your thing, but I just would feel a lot better if we were sure that you were going to just be as safe as everybody else.
You see the slightest twinkle in Xena's eye as you say that pink isn't her thing. Could swear it was a longing of some kind. And then it's gone.
Yeah, dark green is fine. It suits Beowulf much more than pink.
And she hands it over to him.
Thanks. Appreciate that. You watch as, instead of like stuffing it into a pocket or anything, she actually takes her time to just put it like a headscarf around her head. Kind of looks around. What do you think? I don't care. Let's go.
Okay.
What was Anne trying to accomplish with this?
Anne is focused on building meaningful relationships. Everything within this society is so superficial. People are more concerned about how much time something takes than realizing they're so worried about the value of time that they forget to value the time that they spend. And so she is all about taking those little moments and almost actively countervening what the government is trying to do by proving what you can do with the time you have.
Well, I mean, what's more efficient than getting maximum value out of a small amount of time?
I mean, that's the way that she wrote it on her blog post.
Yeah. In this instance, were you trying to perceive something new about her? Were you trying to analyze her reactions so you can make more tactical decisions for the next time that you guys sit down?
Yeah.
How are you approaching this?
This one is trying to understand more about her. There's always more than meets your eye, and her epic is significantly different from the rest of ours, and the story driving her is stronger and older than some, including my own, and so wanted to understand more.
All right,
so I'm going to do analyze.
Go for it.
Roll standard knit. Critical success.
Critical success. Because you're in downtime, Xena, take 4 segments marked, or, well, 4 links in your link section for Anne. So, depending on the action, I'm going to give you an additional benefit here. I'm going to say you're trying to understand the hearts of your comrades. And it fits really well with the virtues for Romeo. His impulse to feel the loneliness in his heart, and you're actively like you're trying to, you understand that intrinsically, being who you are, and you're trying to actively, you understand that pain. You're trying to get make sure that your friends don't necessarily feel that way. So I'd like you to take 2 marks for Romeo as well in the link section.
Got it.
Tamris, let's go to you for your downtime.
Sure.
You have 2 actions that you can take. What would you like to do?
The first one is to spend a little bit of time with Xena.
Okay. Whereabouts do you find Xena on that fine day? We'll say it's a different day from the crepe day.
Sure. Tamris would absolutely have woken up a little extra early and made sure she was standing right outside of Xena's quarters in case she tried to sneak out and avoid
Which she
her.
probably did.
Which she has been, absolutely. She's got a little pad in hand, and she's dressed very nicely, very professionally. And as soon as the door opens, she says, "Good morning. Do you mind if I just have 1, 2, 3 minutes of your time to go over something that I've noticed?"
Hi, Captain. Cameras. Yeah, you're outside my door. You have all the time you need.
Great. I'll pull up this little tiny, like 3-second bit of footage that I've now looped. And it shows Xena in Beowulf taking off in front of the rest of the group, kind of prematurely, like a half a second. Do you see what I'm seeing here?
Yeah, that's Beowulf. It's great. They're very fast.
I am not arguing your reflexes, but I thought that we had agreed that we were going to stick to more of a strategy in which we are all working together at the same time in tandem, all parts of the same cog, no one jumping ahead, falling behind, all together. And you're still just having to beat us to the punch. Goliath got a scuff because you took the attention from yourself, and I got whacked, and it was expensive, and it could have been avoided if we stuck to the plan.
You watch as her face kind of goes through the emotions, the same kind of emotions, where she wants to give you attitude, and you can see it in her face. And she's actually absolutely, just without saying anything, giving you sass. Before she kind of just calms down and goes, "I'm sorry about the scout." And they did dock some of my pay to pay for that, just so that your mech, Goliath, is a little bit better. I will do my best to work with the team.
That's all I ask. But is there something going on? Like, I noticed that, you definitely you just have to have that one step ahead. You avoid me a lot too, so I'm just wondering if it's like a me thing. I know I'm the newest member of the team, and I'm not, like, I don't have to prove myself a little bit more, but I'm just wondering if there's anything I can do to have your trust, I suppose.
Tamras, you're the captain of our team. If you say that working in tandem and going together as a group is much more beneficial, then I mean, what can I say?
Okay.
And to be honest, you are doing the most. Now, I've got a green matcha latte waiting for me, and my mech that I need to make sure that the scratches on the mech from the last time we went out is fully healed and recovered, as well as melded together so that we're not going to get into any more fights, because that last fight nearly took out Beowulf's systems.
Okay. All right. If you need any help, just let me know. I will help. The whole team will help. We'll allocate some resources. Just let me know what you need.
She kind of gives you a very pointed look for a moment, cocks her head a little bit, like with like a very sly look, almost like, and it's just like half second you catch it, and then she goes, "Oh. So how did you like the crepe?" And brought it to you, I presume. She said it was good. That was from the other day.
Yeah, it was great.
Good. I'm gonna go back to that place. You want to come along?
Sure. Yeah.
Great. I need to give my security detail a break from running around.
Why would they be running around?
I like to keep them on their toes. That's all.
Okay.
I'm gonna say as because that fit really well for you empathizing, Xena. If you'd like, you can use that as one of your downtime activities and roll empathize. Tamris, out of the different actions that you had available, what were you trying to convey here and get across?
A little bit of kind of like analyzing where Xena's almost competitiveness and drive to jump ahead comes from.
Trying to still feel her out a little bit.
A little bit.
No pun intended. Go ahead and roll analyze.
This is a controlled, you said, correct?
Yeah, unless we're in a really stressful situation, the things that you're doing deliberately are going to be controlled here.
Perfect.
Again, we're playing light and warm with things.
So that was a 6.
It has not shown up for me yet. That's weird.
Oh, weird. Let me just try it again.
Come on. Ah, there we go. No. Can anybody else see it in chat? No?
No.
That is a little weird. You may want to reset Roll20. Just refresh your screen there.
Maybe.
Did it show up for you?
All right. Trying again.
Okay.
Well, this is happening. Is it all right if I don't use empathize for my downtime?
Yeah,
During
absolutely.
this interaction?
Just offering.
Thank you.
There, now it's showing.
There we go.
Yep.
That's a 3. So, a 3 for your obligation or for your downtime. 2 segments can be marked under link for you, Xena, for Tamris. What other activity do you want to take
For Tamris?
for Tamris?
Okay. I think she's going to go spend some time with Goliath.
Okay. Engaging with Goliath, you can. It's very similar to making a connection.
Mm-hmm.
You find yourself in the dome, and again, being in this place is still a little strange to you. The air feels heavier, thicker. You find Goliath the tallest of each of the engines, with its hands wrapped around a boulder as though it were poised to lift it like Atlas. It's sitting unmoving. It stands before you.
I am going to walk up to it, just in front of it, and just take my hand and place it against the cold gold steel as a little bit of a hello, but it's very reluctant.
You swear you see its eyes move to acknowledge you.
And she's going to take a quick scan of the area to make sure that there's no one around and no cameras on.
You glance and you step around one of its legs, and you find yourself in a little bit of shade, and you're confident nobody can see you.
And she'll start speaking to it about David, the previous captain, previous pilot that she has taken over for.
You swear above you, you hear it's almost like wind rushing past your ears. The rumble is so minor, almost an acknowledgement.
What if David's death wasn't an accident? What if it was something scripted for views or to cover something up?
As you stand there, you swore you were like a foot away from the metal itself, but it's suddenly like up against the side of your arm. And you hear this flash and klaxon go past your ears. And you feel it's a little crude, but it's like that feeling of peeing your pants and just wearing wet pants. But everything is warm, and you get this sensation across your body of like hot blood just going all over you. And a flash of the inside of Goliath's cockpit. And there's a form in there that's not moving. Off to one side, with the harness that you wear every single time, it isn't there. Like, Goliath is a bipedal engine. And unlike some of the others, like Romeo, where you're familiar with the footage of each of your partners inside, or each of your teammates inside their crystal shell. And Xena's has this almost like leaning forward crouch to the mechanism, almost bipedal, because it fits. And Anne just has a stage. It's a platform that she stands on and directs with her hands and her will. You've never really taken the time to look inside the wizard. You're still kind of new, and it's a little weird, and the footage is often a little reflective, and the colors kind of mess with you. But Goliath is one of the oldest engines that the Bastion has. And it's a full suit. When you step into it, you put your feet down into gigantic boots and reach up and put your fingers into massive gauntlets that come up to your elbows. And in that vision that you had, all of that mechanism is on that form. But the things that tie you to the platform so you don't get sent sailing sideways aren't there. And it's there and it's gone.
Why wouldn't he have strapped himself in? That doesn't make any sense. What was he... I need to read more of his journals, his research. Need to get inside of his head more.
I think, based on what you have here, you're either looking to perceive or defy.
She's thinking it's a higher ups, whether it's producers or a government thing that is utilizing them. And I think it's a little bit of a defiant.
I think so too. Go ahead and roll Defy for me. Three. Go ahead and give 2 marks to Goliath. On the left-hand side under links.
Perfect.
And the camera kind of pans away. And let's go to Franklin. Haven't had a chance for a little bit. What are the actions that Franklin would like to take for downtime?
Franklin needs training. He needs to keep pushing it, so he's probably going to ask Captain Tamras to help train him in using this. So I think they're probably going to do a little bit of sparring with their epics, maybe.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
So you find yourselves on a platform, and unlike anything else in life, you have no claim to privacy at this point. And as soon as Tamras accepted the opportunity for training, Jimmy Sweet popped on your wrist communicators like, hey, it sounds like we're gonna get some ratings. This is gonna be great. I love it. You suit up, and he like adjusts his tie in a Barney Stinson sort of way. And it's like, suit up, I'll get everything loaded. And you don't see this, but your companions do. Everyone on the Iliad, everyone throughout town, as large holographic TV screens start showing up everywhere. And it's like, did you hear? Franklin's gonna fight the captain. What? No way. And as things start, people start suiting up. You get this like sound in your head that Tamras, you've heard several times, because it's robot fighting time, and it hums through the communicators as you are propelled up your platforms, and your jumpsuits are being attached to you. This is like the introductory screen for everybody waiting for the primary stream to start, waiting for you guys to have some training. And as that plays on, Franklin, you know the captain's waiting for you. You know the captain's skilled. But you're fairly confident that you're going to gain something from this.
Yeah.
And as the platform starts thrusting you up to where the wizard is, everyone else around, technically you included, because you can you've got a mic in your own own HUD.
Yeah, I've definitely got like a microphone, but the thing that I'm passing by as I'm going up my tube is they're setting up someone else with motion capture technology to look like me, because they can't actually get any footage from inside of the cockpit of the wizard.
It's super disorienting. They've been trying for a while. You've got a doppelganger. It's very, very high tech. And you hear over there, he's got his like, it's just this low droning bass as it goes, and it's an image of Franklin, and he's like pretending to spar and shadowbox. It's complete exact opposite of everything that the wizard kind of represents it is.
Truly.
But that's what you hear. Tamras, this is what you hear coming over a loudspeaker into your cockpit as well. And as you get propelled up yourself, you hear just this. It's light and airy and inspirational, because the captain is coming, and it is the most ridiculous pop bullshit. And you're like,
yeah, at first she's definitely just like, oh my god, eye roll. But when she knows the camera's on, that is camera time. She's got her like superhero pose, And that confidence, just, it's there. All the anxiety and the analyticalness that is private is washed. She is on and ready.
As you enter into what is essentially a training dome, it's a platform on the Iliad that allows you to. It's smaller than Epic Park, where you would spend time with your epics, but it's a useful place. We get going. You guys start squaring off, and you said the wizard is a conglomerate of geometric shapes.
It's a malign conglomeration of evil looking triangles.
I love it. Evil looking triangles. And Goliath.
Are you an evil Porygon?
I think it's definitely more like that. He's pretty nasty.
Goliath is a massive bipedal, like it looms over even the wizard, like in a rippling form, and squares off with evil Porygon. And how do you approach this, Franklin?
So the inside of the cockpit of the wizard is like a hall of mirrors, and they fractal out all these different timelines as he's there. So he gets his shoes up and basically runs to try to pick the most beneficial timeline where he like opens up and attacks. And so when he does that, the wizard blinks out of time for a second and then appears closer and attempts to strike Goliath at the waist.
So, what are you trying to accomplish with
I'm
that?
trying to land a single hit. One time it would be nice. The Goliath is the biggest and it should be the slowest. I've still never hit it any of the times we sparred. I would like to.
Is this because you're trying to express something to the captain, prove something to yourself? Are you trying to understand its movements or the movements of the wizard a little better?
I think what I'm trying to do is conceal the fact that I have no idea how to use the wizard.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me conceal.
Yeah, so I'm trying my best to see if I could get this weird thing to work.
That is a 1. In this instance, Captain, I'm gonna say, because again, this is downtime, this is not combat. You feel the lurching motion as the wizard approaches, and it ducks low and it tries to take a strike in on you, and you understand intrinsically what he's trying to do. That's not polish. That's not even like a feint. That's ineptitude. And you realize a little bit more about this person. You can get 2 links for Franklin. I'm going to give you a bonus here, Tamris. You can go ahead and roll on your table as well. Normally you only get 2, but you're in a prime spot to respond here.
Sure.
What do you want to do?
So she knows that appearance in Goliath is incredibly important. That's captain, that's leader, that's the impenetrable. However, she is a big fan of the little guy and building up the little guy. So for her, it's very much she's going to dodge and kind of just let him buzz past.
Mm-hmm. Would that be a forgive?
It's going to be a forgiveness, because if anyone watches her in actual combat, any slip up like that would usually get an opportunity attack. So she's going to forgive that impulsive, straight up, uninspired attack.
I'm not even going to ask you to roll forgive. I'm just going to give you the XP mark for it for doing
Okay.
so.
Sure.
That's the bonus that I was talking about. And it goes back and forth a little bit. Franklin, you realize that today's not necessarily your best showing, and after the time allotment's done, and you hear a whistle going through, and you start getting little blips on your HUD, and just off to the right side, you see a almost like a VTube version of yourself, and you're in just this blaze emerald coat with long tails and like a walking stick, and you're like, oh, I couldn't get the best of her today. That's the captain for you.
It's the captain for you. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna keep moving through mirrors until I try to find a mirror that shows a door so I can leave.
It takes a little longer than you're comfortable with. You're like, son of a... And you exit your epics. No transformation sequences there. It wasn't necessary. You can still pilot. You remember the best time that you were able to pilot the wizard was the first time that you transcended. And it's been almost chasing that feeling ever since. What's the second thing?
The second thing Franklin is going to do is it requires a little bit of sneaking away, but it is still technically work, so it helps. He will occasionally help out with people on the maintenance crew from time to time so that they can get a chance to get away to handle their own personal business. So I want to start a project to control the internal environmental controls of the Iliad, to fine-tune them so you can basically like create even different weather in different rooms, let alone different decks.
So go ahead and add a clock to your sheet. You're not building anything world shattering. You're essentially making an improvement to the Iliad for all intents and purposes. So probably a 4-piece clock, a 4-segment clock.
Got it.
Yeah. That said, you said you want to... I wonder, what's your purpose in this?
My purpose in this is that they were told to do it, but they were told to just like run the diagnostic. But I think that if we can have perfect fine-tuned environmental controls, we can start trying to recruit people from more divergent timelines with different environmental needs. So maybe we could finally team up with the dinosaur timeline that I've been begging for.
It sounds like you're trying to express a need for efficiency here.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll express.
And I roll twice and take the lowest.
That is correct. Yep. That's unfortunate. Things went badly here. You lost the opportunity. You don't add anything to the timeline for this. But the project's still on the go. Any pieces that you put into improvement clocks like this will also go into improving the Iliad's overall XP bar.
Nice.
We're double dipping here a little bit because it's more efficient and we only get 3 sessions. So that said, I believe that Xena still has something left to do.
Indeed. Having watched that poor attempt at fighting off with, well, not fighting, but sparring with Captain Tamris, they will, for their downtime, I guess I should use my empathize now for that session. because they would look at that fight and go, okay. And we'll actually look for Franklin um, after they're done their duties, and they will just stand outside the mechanics room and just kind of lean up against the door very nonchalantly and just wait for them to come out a little bit. Her security detail both have slushies of boba that she's paid for them for while she's like looking at her nails, waiting for Franklin.
This would be aboard the Iliad. At some time passes through, and you see Franklin come out. You understand that the proxy that appears on the screens, they do their best to mirror Franklin's actual movement, and they get an audio signal that the guy lip syncs over. But you know that wasn't really Franklin. You were watching there. Franklin himself is wearing his usual training attire. Sweats in a tank top or something, whatever it is. And he's got a towel probably over his head and comes out and...
Oh my goodness. I'm digging around in my toolbox trying to find something when you come out, and I get you a little head nod.
Hey, Franklin.
Hey, Xena. Oh my goodness. I'm looking for a micro... no. Doggone it. I must have left it back in the shed. I can't even keep track
Looking
of the
for
tools.
a microchip analyzer?
Yes. Yes, but I need one with the new security codes on it.
She tosses it over to you, and you look. It's like an old mixtape one, but then when you look at it, she's already pre-programmed all of the new codes.
You're a lot better with all this. I mean, I swear, you give me anything more expensive than a wrench, and I think I'm going to break it. But I can get back in there with this. Thanks. And he's going to start crawling back into it.
Hold on. When was the last time you sat in Wizard?
Well, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't like leaving the fourth dimension, so I try not to sit in it as much as I can.
You're never going to get any better if you don't sit in Wizard for any longer period of time.
I mean, that's true, but...
My life is in your hands. So if you don't do your job in the Wizard efficiently and appropriately, and we can reliably turn to you, you could get very injured, and or the rest of the team will get injured. So if you are done here, or this can wait, we can head over to your tech for your mech, and you're going to get to know your mech because you need to build that relationship up. I need you to know that I'm not doing this for you. I am doing this because my life is in your hands, and I don't trust your hands right now.
Wish I could use my dang hands. You don't understand what it's like in there, but Franklin comes willingly.
I do understand, and that's why I see you struggling, and I'm going to help you out because Captain Tamris is way too busy stressing out. By the way, have you been to that crepe place that Anne's been talking about?
Yeah, I don't get the big deal. They're just like really thin pancakes.
What do you like then?
I don't know. Steak and eggs?
They do have savory options.
Protein.
Let's go over there and get you sorted out.
All right.
You can do this, you know that, right? Like, otherwise you wouldn't have transcended and become part of a superhero team with a VTuber giving the worst voiceover.
Hey, that guy's pretty cool, actually. Not the old guy was not great, but this guy's okay. I mean, he does a good job. I think I sound pretty good.
Sounds good. Hey, Bubba Jones, we're gonna head over to Epic Park. You can just follow behind.
When you guys are aboard the Iliad, they're pretty much at ease. You're not getting away from the cameras here. Your communicators never fail to work when you're on the ship. Much to your chagrin. Now, Franklin, you've been in other epics other than the Wizard, because you've worked on the Fix-It team. There was specifically 2 that you had a hand in regular maintenance of when you first started. That was Wukong and Excalibur. They're currently epics that exist in Epic Park that Excalibur hasn't moved in 20 years now. If judging timelines, time is a weird soup where you live, but it basically sits on its bum with its sword embedded into a stone in front of it. And it had a cockpit, like the planes that you're used to. A chair. You sit in it, and it's got like it's got handles and controls, something reminiscent to a keyboard. Like, it's great. Wukong's was a little bit different in that it was a platform with receivers and transceivers all over it. The plug suit that you'd wear, according to the schematics, had massive shoulder pauldrons and some kind of an umbilical tail coming out the back that apparently was used to maneuver the tail and use it as an auxiliary limb. You mentioned or recall reading that one person had a really hard time controlling it, started getting phantom limb issues. It was nonsensical. The Wizard is nothing like that. It is a series of reacting to screens and information as it moves and shifts and changes. There's no sitting down, there's no interface, there's just trying to make the best choice and then going along for the ride. No one else other than you has been inside that cockpit. Xena, go ahead and roll me. You can use empathize if you want to. Based on your conversation, are you trying to empathize with him? Are you trying to express a need? What are you?
I think she's trying to perceive, kind of like on the moon side, where her teammate is failing, like where the disconnect is between his mecha and how what his comfort, why he's not being comfortable in his mech. Because for Xena and Beowulf are like one and the same. Like they move fluidly. Like for her, the way
It's instinctive.
It's just, yeah. And she's trying to figure out why Franklin has, because everybody is different, but she's seen it in Tamris and she's seen it in Anne. She sees that same kind of instinctive motions. And so the first time that Franklin ascended with the Wizard, she had noticed that he had that same flow. But ever since that, it's almost like he's stopping himself. And I think that's what she's trying to perceive is, where is he faltering? Why isn't he able to connect with his mech when this was the mech that he connected with when he first started?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and roll either perceive or empathize. You're trying to gain information or understand him a little bit more. Your choice. So in this case,
It would be a 1.
it is a 1. given what you're trying to do, you go to the wizard. You find it in Epic Park. It's already been loaded off the platforms, and it's almost like a Evangelion sort of thing, where like a platform comes down and then it gets on an elevator that goes this way, and it like brings it up through the grass. And you've been assuring Franklin this whole time that it's like, you just gotta feel it. You just gotta like move with it. You just gotta like, it's so easy. I don't understand why you don't understand. It's almost a frustrating thing. And it's not coming from a place of browbeating him. It's like trying to teach an infant to breathe. So why? And with a begrudging like, all right. The crystal on the wizard opens. And go ahead.
So she will turn to Franklin and go, so there's your Mac. And I know what I've explained to you really doesn't make sense. I just need to kind of figure out, and for myself to help you out, because you need more sparring sessions and you need more time with a wizard. I need to figure out like why you were so comfortable in the beginning but not so comfortable now. You know? Franklin?
Yeah, I know. It's just hard to explain.
Maybe sit in it and meditate for a moment. I don't know. That seems to work for me. Like, you just sit in your Mac or sit beside your Mac and just like talk to it. That worked for me. I mean, mine is wolf shape. Yours is kind of like a psychedelic trip.
Geometry gone wrong.
I'll give it a shot. Franklin walks into the wizard and just disappears into like blue light as the interior of it just becomes bright blue.
It's almost like a metallic mercurial portal that you step through.
Yeah.
And you see a reflection of Franklin walking further and further away from you, but it looks like he's walking towards you. And it's weird, because Beowulf doesn't do that. Beowulf has a hole that you climb into, and then you get on the seat, and it's made out of like a leathery something or another, and you put your hands down into the little receptacles, and you put your feet where it needs to be, and you kind of half plank and push up into it, and you can just see and feel. And Franklin, to you, looking around, it's the same as it always is. It is discombobulating. It is challenging. Something occurs to you. When you were trying to use your chronotech to predict the right mirrors before you transcended, there were way less options. There was like not even a quarter of the mirrors and like flipped screens and reflections to look through. It's almost like things went from a D4 to a D20, right? On reflective surfaces in here. And because for a brief time you were able to use them all to great effect. And some time passes. And again, it's challenging. Franklin, for you, it feels like you've only been in here for a minute. And Xena, your impulses and the virtues that you share with Beowulf start to kind of get the better of you. And that that feral impulse of like, this is taking all day. And stepping through that little barrier, that mercurial barrier, you are assaulted. It is so vastly discombobulating that you empty your insides outside, down on the ground. Every source of light reflects off to another source of light. Your eyes can't adjust and focus. Everything smells wrong. It's like having an impacted ear or tinnitus, and everything is just like off. It is a full sensory overload. Like, how could anybody exist with all of this information bombarding them all at once? And like, you're bleary-eyed and your eyes are out of focus and you're looking, and 10 feet in front of you, because this is a lot bigger on the inside, you see Franklin just standing there, and he's got two massive geometric shapes, one under each hand, that are flipping and rotating. And he's moving his hands and his fingers, and every time he moves a finger, these geometric shapes, these decahedrons, just kind of rotate out. And you kind of half glance one, and you see in one single, they're like massive compound eyes. One single portion of the prism, it's looking in that direction, this direction, this direction, this direction, all at the same time. And as he turns, you just see like this reflection in his eyes of this greenish gold. And it almost, again, it's almost this insectoid like compound crystalline structure across his face. It's not, it's like a projected mask or a HUD. And it's all the information at once, and he notices you, and it disappears, and you see in front of you, Franklin, Xena, like, her shit is wrecked on the floor in front of you.
Oh no. Oh no. We gotta get you out of here. As I'll just try and like help Xena out, and I'll start digging around in my pocket, and I'm just like, hold on to this as I give you a fossil.
Roll to avoid slipping on, but no.
Yeah.
And you manage to get outside, and you step back through the front of the entrance to the wizard is sometimes a leg, sometimes it's one of the other, like, you know, tripod-y sort of things. It's a little different every single time. Keeps them on their toes. And you land on the grass.
That.
Now you're gonna want to focus on the spiral shapes in that. The older the object, generally, the faster it can help diffuse charged chronotons from your body. You've got chronoton radiation poisoning.
Oh,
It's fine.
you know, now I understand, like, nothing but everything at the same. How the heck do you pilot that thing?
I've been trying to tell. I don't know what.
It looked like you had like an insect, like, mask thing, and then your fingers were like antenna, like just legs on
That's
like weird decks, and like there's eyes. Did you know there's eyes in your mecha? Like, it can see me. It was weird. And then it was a mirror. It was looking like at multiple pools at the same time.
And see,
Like, I have multiple screens, but they're like hard interfaces. That was not, no.
and I don't see any of that. I'm just running the whole time. That's part of the problem, is I'm running the whole time. I've lost 10 pounds this year.
Why do, yeah, what? No, hold on.
The wizard has become a physical analogy for, like, I don't even see the code anymore. I just see like a blonde, a brunette, a redhead. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we need a little something extra for that, because that was good. Xena, based on your roll, Franklin gets 2 points in link. And Franklin, you know, given your the way that you were explaining things and going forward, you can have a XP tick in Moon, I'm gonna say. And that leads us to the end, I believe, of our downtime. Xena, did you get two?
Xena, was that 2 or 1?
That
was
was that was the second one, I think.
I didn't roll my empathize. That was
Hmm.
only one.
Oh, so it was only one then. Yeah. Beyond that, Xena, what other thing would you like to do with your time?
I'll make this really quick. She's gonna, after that horrible experience with the wizard, she's gonna go straight to Beowulf and hang out with Beowulf and make sure that the scratches are nicely gone and the Chronoton, whatever she has, she's able to like go to Beowulf and be like, cheer her up after a bit.
All right. Based on that, what makes the most sense to you for that interaction?
She's gonna go up to Beowulf and like, this is why you are my mech and I'm your driver. Never again. And I'm so sorry. Like, she's apologizing to her mech for going into somebody else's mech because she was impatient.
It's not unheard of. It's not even impolite to do so. This feels like you're trying to express an emotion to Beowulf. Please roll express. Critical success. You give 4 links to Beowulf. That'll max Beowulf out, I believe. No, not quite. Yeah. With that, we're going to step away for a little bit as a klaxon starts sounding. And there is hubbub through the city, and sound erupts in yours. This will be some days later. You find yourselves where you generally all take refuge, and that familiar doom music kicking in starts to hit as your communicators flare. Anomaly detected. Anomaly detected. Suit up. Suit up. Suit up. And everybody scrambles, gets where they need going. And we're going to take a little break. We're going to be back in... That was good. We'll call it 15 minutes. We'll shoot for... We'll call it 8:30. Right on the nose. Thank you, everybody, and we'll be back shortly. See you soon. Oh, that was the wrong overlay entirely. That looked like Star Wars for a second. Hello, we're back again. Everybody is successfully dehydrated and ready to roll.
You're
Well,
muted.
Okay, let's get back to the rehydration while we play.
yes, indeed.
Drink your water.
We now start into the mission phase of Girl by Moonlight. When last we left our heroes, klaxons were going. Alerts. Divine beast detected. Divine beast detected. And the scramble was on. The Iliad, we say you quickly make your way to the Iliad. Everything is a hustle and a bustle. And the 5 Theseus-class engines fire as it rises out of its cradle. A large glowing green halo of the chronodrive behind it as it starts taking off towards the ocean. The cries of the citizenry behind you, knowing that they're about to get the show of their life. Everything is going to be magnificent. And they know nothing. The scramble is on. This is almost old hat for you. But the camera cuts away. And it takes us back a little bit. First things first, I'd like Franklin to roll me a fortune roll, please.
All right. Fortune roll.
It's just above your obligation roll on your playmat.
Yes, got it. All
And
right.
we're going to say 3d6.
Oh,
All right.
5, a 2, and a 4.
I like it. That's going to tell us just how well this is going. This means that when the action starts, you're kind of in a risky position, all of you. This was a roll for the group. Your plan's holding together, but just barely. And you're going to need to take steps right now as soon as you get into the mission phase to avoid disaster. That said, keep that in mind. We cut to darkness. And we cut to several figures with long, lustrous hair adorned in sandals, sitting on a stone furnishing, and a hand slams down onto a chair, shattering the stone. They've gone too far. Pathetic insects that don't know their place. Get me, Genbu! I've no more patience for these creatures. And from across the room, a sultry voice answers with a lithe form. Genbu, my lord. Won't that leave the North Mountain unguarded? And the aged figure in the chair says, I will not be questioned! And we cut once more to the darkness. And the void starts to spread out around the ocean. Slowly stepping forward is an enormous black turtle with stacks and stacks of iron pagodas stacking up through its shell like a walking bestial tower, impossibly large. The telltale ball creatures made of teeth and flaps, langoliers, if you will, orbit it, snapping at the air, eating through the mist, and generally encircling it. They spiral through the sky. You've battled large beasts before, but this creature is to your engines like a shopping mall is to you. It's not going well. You find yourselves thrust out of the Iliad. Launch sequences initiated. And not to put too much of a hamper on the tension, but I need some goddamn magical girl transformation sequences in my life right about now. So, who's going first?
I mean, Anne's
Why?
been ready for this.
Why not?
I think Anne is going first. I like it. Let's do it. So Anne, you step onto the platform. You suit up, and your theme song starts. And it's just this overwhelmingly noxiously happy thing. What does it look like as you suit up?
So, Anne does the whole dramatic. She's turned backwards and she's like bouncing in time to the music, and then she throws her hand up in the air and says, "It's time to go!" And the ribbons in the back of her hair unravel and start to swirl around, and her hair comes down in big curly waves, and light comes up from the podium below and shines around her, and all you see is a silhouette. And then she puts her hand down and she has the control, a microphone.
I love it. I love it. And as that goes and you strike your pose, you see on the screen the view count, and you like it's almost like a chat roulette sort of thing every now and again, where you can see like waves of people waving up at giant TV screens at you, and everybody's cheering and being like, "Romeo, we love you, oh my god!" And they're like holding up signs.
And Anne, and Juliet and Romeo make a.
I love it. And Giant Mecha's like, Xena. As you get through, there's this discordant rift that goes, and you're launching through. What does your magical girl transformation sequence look like?
Xena is all about that rock and roll and the heavy bass.
I like it.
Just as a heads up, James, there's just some echo in my.
Got it.
Thank you.
That was me.
Okay, sorry about that. So, in a burst of like magical energy and light, Xena goes directly through her cockpit in like athletic, acrobatic spinning motion, and it kind of like one leg kind of kicks back, and then she looks like she's a runner, like in a full running pose, and then she flips in, and it's like every angle, there's like a camera angle here, camera angle there, as she kind of suits up into this like really black leather, blue filigree kind of going up and down her suit, heavy metal base, and then across her head there's like this visor that just kind of drops a little bit as she straps into her harness, and then she's in like a motorcycle biker format, and
I like
she's
it.
ready to go.
It's got almost a canine sort of like slope to the HUD. With that, because you've had a training session and a presentation since the last time that you made an appearance, Captain Tamris. And Jimmy Sweet's like, no, we're doing the old one. We're doing the old one. You can't do the thing. And what does it look like when Tamris does their transformation sequence?
So
This is David's music.
It's David's music, and it's David's transformation.
I like it. Just a whole lot of butts.
So it starts off kind of making her like look a little bit smaller, like almost like the camera's like above her, and then just like looking up at something big and gargantuan, and there's a big like defiant look on her face, and then a smirk, and then almost like she's powering up and becoming big herself. She just starting like a massive run, and then it is like a war cry, and then a slam as her fists and her feet just jam right into Goliath's gigantic body.
You see the apparatus like all the way up to your elbow and knees on both sides, and it spins around, and it's just in a full like flexing Arnie fighting pose. Slightly censored for the audience because it was David's plug suit too, and it was tidy white. No. And it's like you hear it faintly in the back of your mind. This like historical echo of like Goliath online. Franklin, you hear in your HUD, it's like, no, that do the other one, the whimsy one, and you get this like they build the wizard as this like mystical trickster sort of thing. What's your magical girl transformation sequence look like?
So
TM.
It's kind of, it cuts back and forth because the actor that's doing it is kind of almost like Willy Wonkish, like getting suited up, like getting his coat on, getting a little cane, like a hat tip and a slide. He goes down a slide, and some black gloved like theater scene dressers are like putting things and getting stuff ready. And then he says, he turns to the camera and says, and before he raps on the side of the mirror 3 times, and then he disappears into it as it slides closed on his face. And that's interspersed with me kind of like going down a hall with doctors, just like injecting me with stuff and getting me ready. And I have like goggles and things on, but at the end of it, I'm just kind of there in sort of a very lean plug suit unitard with tread shoes as the music is still playing, and I just kind of enter into the portal with some trepidation.
They give you what is it, a bunch of Dramamine just to keep everything on the down low.
Absolutely.
And with that, the 4 of you, the front section of the Iliad opens, and all 4 epics take off. Jetpacks, just like, you know, each of you has like a Theseus class propulsion engine on the back of it for when you need to fly. And in this case, the thing could step on you. You absolutely need to fly 100%. There's no getting around that. Give me half a second, and there we go. So we're gonna go in order with this, starting with the captain. Captain, you have through no fault of your own encountered a risky situation that we're gonna say is all Franklin's fault because he's the one that rolled the dice. No. It is not going well. Your usual maneuvers are not stacking up. The majority of you're used to Goliath being able to strong arm things that come and allow your more lithe and flexible allies to do what they need to do. And in this case, you are completely outmatched in size. It's probably a little bewildering. What do you do?
This is where her analytical brain's going to be coming into effect a little bit more. She's going to be paying very close attention to its movements and what it's specifically doing to best my group. She's looking for a pattern.
Okay. I'll get you to roll analyze in this case.
This is in a risky situation, correct?
This is in a risky situation.
Oh, darn. Risky. Standard. I'm not adding anything. There we go. No bonus.
Unless somebody is trying to help you.
They're probably pretty distracted right now.
It's up to you.
We're good. Fuck. Excuse me.
All right.
Ooh.
So, in a risky situation, this takes... things go very, very badly. You hesitate, and in the time it takes for you to take in the information that you're looking for, you're not paying attention as some of those Langolier creatures. If you've never read or seen the Langoliers, fantastic. Look it up. These massive floating mouth, eyeball, flying creatures come in and latch onto Goliath and send you hurtling towards the ocean. What does everyone else do?
I'm now kicking myself for my special abilities because I could have used pathetic and I
No.
just didn't. I did not do that.
You have some options. You can protect a teammate with a roll. You can take their face that damage on behalf of them to suffer that consequence. Goliath gets a chance to resist.
Okay.
In this case, you do have heavy armor. It's a single hit, and it's not from the big one; it's from the little guys. But as this is coming through, do you want to roll to resist? Do you want to use your armor? How do you approach this?
For this, I think just because of what's happened in the past, with losing pilots and losing things, I think Goliath would try to resist at this point.
Okay.
Kind of have her back a little bit while she was taking her time to be smart rather than
I'm
strong.
gonna say, in this instance, do you have any special abilities that would help you in this?
Special abilities. I mean, mine's definitely... When I gather info to anticipate possible threats in the current situation, I do gain a +1 effect level.
Yeah. You also have Watchful. But
That's what I was just reading, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't...
I have a special ability that can help her.
Okay. What do you got?
So I have perfect pitch. Your voice is polyphonic and eerily beautiful. Your allies can always hear you speak, regardless of distance or other interference. When you sing to inspire your allies or soothe the troubled hearts of foes, roll +D1D. I want to know whether or not I can apply that to her roll so that when she goes to avoid this.
So what this essentially would have done is it gives her an extra die on her analyze roll to see if that went as poorly as it did.
As it
And that's totally okay to use.
Okay.
Because again, we're demoing the system, and this is the first time that we're trying some of this stuff out.
Yeah.
So, Tamaris, go ahead and roll analyze again, please, from a risky position. And we'll just take the higher of the two. Double ones. So unfortunately, despite Anne's support in your ear, and what does that sound like when it's coming through? I don't mean sing. I mean like.
No, I'm not singing.
How are you supporting your friend in this regard?
Well, because Anne is who she is, everyone's got a theme song.
Oh,
And she starts singing the captain's theme song.
Oh, I love it.
It is like a 30-second little like commercial ditty. It's like, Captain Tan, you could do it. Come on.
I love it.
And you're like, oh God. Oh.
yeah, like canonically, she
Why?
turns down a little bit of the music and audio because she finds it hecka distracting.
And then it just comes right through.
But you can always hear her. That's the thing.
I
That's the thing
know.
about perfect pitch. You just can't, even if you turn it off,
drown it out.
it's coming through your watch. It's coming through your headset. Everywhere you listen, you're like, this theme song is going to get stuck in my head all day.
I'm overstimulated.
And I think I took a point of stress for doing that.
Oh no. I'm so sorry.
You
No,
can
no, it's
also
okay.
burn links to have a transcended ally ignore the effect of a single harm until their transcendence ends. So
Okay.
if somebody has a link with Tamris, they can burn that.
Yeah, I'll burn that link.
All right.
Thank you.
Now, that the harm doesn't go away. You can just avoid it until you transform back. And we're going to say because these things, your harm level 1 I'm going to give you is embarrassed because they were the small fries that took Goliath out.
Okay.
So under the harm section, under 1, just type embarrassed. And that works.
All right.
Xena, what are you doing? You saw this happen. You need to take that turtle down.
Xena is going to do what Xena does and considering that her captain, who is, and basically everyone right now, because she's in weird headset mode, she is going to, because she counts everybody, she's relentless. While she's transcended, each protagonist counts as my rival. So she sees that everybody is doing her thing. Probably sees that everyone's struggling and figures like the only thing she can do is to go to the turtle, get the turtle's attention on her until Tamris can come in to back her up. So she's not even gonna. She's just gonna shut up. I'll give you some time and run straight forward toward the turtle.
Okay. So that sounds to me a whole lot like setting up a teammate. So anything that if you roll successfully on this, everybody else is going to get a +1 effect or an improved position on what they do. So how are you going to go about getting the turtle's attention? Drawing it away from your companions? Is anybody else helping her? Other than Tamris. Tamris is recovering.
I will help.
Okay. How?
I want to do like, you're like charging in, right? I want to like swirl around you
With a ribbon?
with a rib. No, I have a cape and a rapier.
I see. I like it. So you're like, it's a corkscrew maneuver?
Yeah.
I like it. We're gonna
Power up.
say with that one, do you want to spend links on that? Do you want to take stress to give them an extra die?
I gotta be careful.
I do have a link with Anne, just by the way, so I can expend a link to if that's what they're doing. Can I do that? Can I expend
Well,
one
so you're
point?
the one that's doing the activity. The others are helping you, so they would have to spend their links to you to do it.
Great. Well, I
Um,
read somewhere in this rule book that you got to go hard or you're not going to do anything. So I'm
Yep.
going to take a point of stress and do this.
All right. Keep in mind that you can also burn your. You can spend your links to recover stress as well.
When we get to my turn, I'll burn my leg.
It's not so much turns. We're just doing the thing.
Okay.
Yeah. There's not really an initiative. It's more just a collaborative. Like do a big maneuver. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
So
Well, I'm corkscrewing, and
as you corkscrew around, is the intention to spend a link to give bonus die to Xena with that?
yeah.
Okay. So Xena, whatever you end up doing, add us an extra d6 to what you're doing. Franklin, is there anything that you can do to aid?
I think Franklin was gonna try to help. Was gonna try to set up Tamris.
Okay.
See if we could set up the Goliath.
All right. So a pincer maneuver.
Yeah.
All right. So you've got a corkscrew going on one side, and a giant Porygon of Death with a Machamp coming in on the other. Pokemon references ahoy. Yo. How are you looking to set up Tamris?
I think I'm gonna get myself between the flying mouths that are attacking from everywhere. I'm gonna put myself between those and Tamris, and I'm just gonna say, look, I've never tried this before, but we're gonna try something. And I'm gonna I'm just gonna try to spin all of the mirrors inside of the wizard and pick one at random. And I want to try to use confess, because I'm letting them know that I don't know what I am doing.
I like
and
it.
that it might not go bad. Now, here's a question. Would you say that this is brave? Because
I would.
so all of our epics have impulses, and they
They do.
also have natures. The wizard's nature is bravery, and its impulse is lost. So I'm gonna try and use confess. And do I get an extra die?
You do.
All right, so it's risky, right?
Mm-hmm.
Risky and standard for this.
Yep.
All right, and then I am transcendent.
Every
And-
time that you take an action that is in line with the virtue of your epic, you get an extra die to add.
That
Hey,
is
there we
awesome.
go. 5 and a 4 as as the wizard just lets loose with something crazy and unexpected.
As that happens, I'm going to say that you absolutely set up your teammate in that regard. Go ahead and add a point to Moon as well. Tamnis, this is...
I haven't rolled yet.
Oh, sorry. Go for it, Xena.
I'm going to use Defy.
Defy.
Because with the corkscrew, we're defying against this particular creature. So
Yep.
I think that gives me another d6. So I'm rolling 4d6.
That sounds correct. As your corkscrew takes off with a 5, you successfully manage to draw the turtle's attention in.
Sorry, that was
Oh.
was Franklin.
Double transcending 6s from a risky position.
That's a crit, baby.
That is a crit.
Woohoo!
You do it with an increased effect. And you see the turtle turn its massive form, and its head, it almost doesn't look like it has eyes, but it tracks you. And you see this city-sized thing step forward in your direction as you take out one of its legs, and it spins and it falls. And just as you would be crushed by one of the pagodas that's on its shell as it topples over into the ocean, you see a brilliant spiral come in, looping around a bunch of buildings, and it scoops up Beowulf by the midsection as Romeo jets out like the superhero that they are, with a flash in their eye and a ray of ribbons and sparkles. Some of the ribbons get caught underneath a bunch of rubble, but it just makes them like curl and shine that much more. Because, like what you do with scissors when you're wrapping a present. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, can't not look good. Juliet, you hear roarous applause in your HUD. And Xena, you hear everybody's got specific sorts of fans. Xena's attracted a lot of the like burly balding muscle dudes that are like, yeah, just do it, just give them guts, yeah. slam into a Slim Jim. Those sorts. Fiercely loyal, very protective. They're like, that's a person that's trying their hardest. You leave them alone. Very Mr. Satan, like 100%. On the opposite end, we have Franklin. And using your confess while transcending, you do it. There's a little bit of consequence here with a 5. You manage to successfully charge up all of the mirrors that or reflective surfaces all around the wizard, and all of the Langoliers kind of like start bashing into you, leaving Tamris alone. Codename Matilda. As they do, I'm gonna say you don't take any damage, but yeah, at this point we'll say a lesser effect on this. Maybe bruised. It might be your ego. It might be that feeling of like letting go. Bruised or embarrassed, you choose, because you said something out loud that you don't normally say out loud.
I think bruised, because definitely these things might not pose a problem to a different epic, but for the wizard's weird set, just being attacked by a bunch of little things is not great. So yeah, he's not having a good time.
You have successfully managed to set up a teammate. Tamris. Turtle's on its side.
Mhm.
Goat is falling. Those Langoliers are everywhere, just spiraling through the sky. But they're not the concern. That is. And its belly is exposed.
Mhm.
What do you got? Whatever you do, you're going to get an extra +1 effect.
Amazing. She's going to realize it's a turtle. Its soft points are in its exposed extremities, where its neck is on the inside. You're not going to get into that shell. We need to attack it from its soft points at the bottom. And that's going to be a little bit of her, like, it's just going to, like, brightness, stuff that she's read. I know that's one of her virtues with Goliath.
You're clever, if I recall.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what she's going to do is, now that it's exposed and there's a bit of distraction on the other little guys, she's going to lead a group action.
Okay.
And she's going to make sure that we all hit one of the soft spots on the inside of the shell. Someone go for the neck, someone go for the tail, legs, whatever. Just hit it hard.
Okay. That group action. So you're going to roll for each character that participates.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be all of you here.
Everybody.
So everybody can roll this. What action are they taking?
It's going to be an attack action.
But of the 9 that you have available.
Of the 9 that I have available.
How are you doing it? Is this in an analytical manner? Is this waiting for it and going with the flow? What does this look like? Are you...
It's very analytical. It's pinpointed. Coordinates are, like, she's making sure everyone has coordinates.
Okay.
Like, it's very direct.
I'm going to get everybody to roll analyze for me. Working as a group skill check here.
And does that include myself? Do I roll as well?
Yeah, everybody's doing this. I'm going to give you an extra effect because one of your transcendent abilities, How Dare You, gives you a bonus when you're striking back against someone that's harmed your friends. And Franklin just took it on the chin for you to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that retribution feels appropriate.
There's definitely an anger there and a this ends now.
Absolutely.
I have I have a transcendent ability that once per transcendence, you may uplift your allies with a speech or song, and when you do, it counts as spending a link on each ally that can hear you.
I love it. What do you say?
We're gonna go with.
Sorry, you need the appropriate.
Sorry, thanks.
Comes into everyone's ears.
Come on, everybody! As a team, with the power of our friendship, we can do it.
Yeah.
You can hear
Yeah.
the
And you're
sound
all
of
amped up, despite what you all want.
you hear the sound of eye rolls coming over the comms.
And the sound of my fans going,
With that, as everything, so you're spending a link on them. What are you spending a link on them for? Are you
They all
granting
get
them a
to-
die?
They all get to spend a link. Oh, counts as spending a link on each ally that can hear. Yeah, everybody gets an extra die.
Guess what?
Okay.
What?
We have sync ratio, so when you use a link to help an ally, we get 2 dice.
So everybody
Perfect.
gets 2 dice
Everybody
Holy.
gets 2 extra dice.
on top of this. So go ahead and roll your analyze under stars. Bear with me a sec here. We've got some. Where did it go? No.
Oh my
There it
God.
is. Jesus. All right. So, leading a group action. The single best roll counts as the action result. And I believe, based on this,
Yes! Go, Captain! Go,
Captain!
Captain!
Captain Tamris has 2 critical hits from a risky position. You do it, and you do it again. With this, with its belly exposed, how does everyone hold this thing or restrict this thing before Captain Tamris ends it? Xena, I'll start with you.
Xena's just gone for the jugular. I mean, that wherever this portal's neck is, she's pinning that down because she saw what happened with Franklin, and she's just going straight for the throat.
You see the massive Theseus class engine strapped to Beowulf's tail is just firing on all cylinders as it's going around, and it's just tearing at parts of the throat around this giant turtle. Anne?
Anne has got one of the arms, or Romeo has got one of the arms, and the ribbons have like started to constrict around it, and it's just bulging as it's pulling back to kind of
Rockley
like
style. I like
yeah.
it. Franklin?
The wizard jumps out of the water, lands arms, I guess, first into the shell, and then the legs flip back around with little tachyon lances and reverse age the shell around its neck so the shell shrinks and starts choking it.
I like it. Tamris, how do you finish this thing?
So Goliath normally holds a rock. And that rock kind of shifts into more of like a knife sword point.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes roaring in, and she's going to slice into the tail, cracking the underbelly all the way up to where the friends are holding the neck.
I like it. Doing the Ant-Man style, starting from the bottom and going all the way up.
Yep.
I like it.
Cracking
And
it right open.
With a massive howl. Everyone's got analytics built into their cockpits. As this thing screams and goes into a death roll, throwing you away from it. There's a massive surge of energy from the north. And then everything just kind of like fuzzes out for a second, like a wow, and you get your vision back on the HUD. And the hell was that? Everything's fine. As this thing rolls down into the water, it's still protruding up because of its massive size. And you see that void out in the distance start coming towards it with thousands of those Langoliers coming in and starting to consume the turtle, tearing pieces one by one off of it at a time.
Is
And
this
they look-
something we've seen happen before? Like, does this often happen with our... Sorry.
There are times when something has left a piece of itself. You saw one time Xena, Beowulf ripped the arm off of something, and something went and started feasting on it. And the thing rolls, and your engines reverse and push back. And you've successfully deterred this turtle with a bunch of critical successes that seem a little improbable. But here we are. Thank you, Roll20's random number generation, for helping me out today. With that, as you return to the ship, you have it's a reasonably short flight, but all of this fanfare plays through your ears. Orders come through from the commander of the Iliad, one Commander Tilda Bartok, pulls up on the HUD, very M. Bison style dress officer, massive pauldrons, missing an arm at the elbow, one eye with an eye patch. She's been the commander of the Iliad for as long as you've known that this thing has existed, and she congratulates you and says, "Good work. I expect nothing less of the captain." And the rest of you as well.
Yeah, meanwhile, we did everything we could to hold it down, but Cap, the whole thing through, that thing must have been 500, 400 meters long?
I couldn't have done it if you weren't holding it in position or distracting.
You were amazing! Have you seen the replays? They're already posted up online.
You get a flash on your HUD, and it's Jimmy Sweet, and he's doing this with his hands. He's like, "Oh boy, you know what we're gonna have to do now? It's gonna be a whole lot press interviews for you, Captain. I love it. Oh, I love it. This is gonna go so..." Do you have any idea how many action figures we are gonna sell? These people are gonna forget all about their troubles, and it's all thanks to you. You know, I think we should find you a new you should keep using David's. That was spectacular. I love it. Yeah. And shoves him off of a HUD, and Commander Bartok is like, "Get back to base. Get your repairs seen to. Have some R&R. That's an order." And it cuts out.
Oh.
I'm gonna get a grade after I fix Beowulf. Taps Tamris on the shoulder. "Good job. Lucky shot there."
Grapes, the new shawarma.
I hear they have a new blackberry flavor.
You watch
And
as
she walks up with you.
You watch it. Franklin and Tamris would watch at the moment blackberry flavor comes in. You see Xena stop for a moment, tilt her head, almost like kind of like wanting the sweet flavor of blackberry flavors, and then she goes, "Nah, I'm going with blueberry."
That's okay. You can share mine. She keeps laughing.
For all intents and purposes, because it didn't come up, anyone that took a harm effect can have instead used up their armor to slough it off, given the transcendent ability that you have for heavy gear. Normally, you have to spend some time in downtime recovering from those, but as it didn't come up, you can go ahead and just mark it off.
Okay.
You suffer no harm.
I can't remember how stress translates between the sessions. And I feel like it's important at this point for me to figure out if I need to spend these 2 links with Romeo to get rid of 4 points of stress because I am stressed.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I
I'm gonna
mean,
use both links with Romeo to be like, I sang a song on the way down and I reconnected with my sister and I had a good time.
If it's cool, instead of doing that, can I give Anne like 1 point of stress? Because the moment we get to the creperie, Xena's not even going to pay attention to what they're doing. Um, they're going to just nonchalantly, not even looking at, and pass over a blackberry crepe with like whipped cream and drizzle. And then she's also going to get like 2 more crepes and be like, they're not really crepe people. But she's going to get like the savory crepes. And then she's going to pass it over to Anne again, not looking. Can you give this to Franklin and Tamras? I gotta go somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. That was very cool of her. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to add a note about it in the update.
For a mechanical sense, Melissa,
Mhm,
your fallout phase, you
mhm.
erase your stress, you
Okay.
erase your unspent links, so it all
Yeah.
evens out in the wash.
Great.
You reset your transcendence and your armor. So every time you take an action while transcended, you use up your little transcendent
Mm.
banner there. And when you run out, you fall out of your transformation and something bad happens. It's a thing. It's great. It's wonderful. You find yourselves in that crepe store with no place to sit because, again, it's way more efficient for people to just take their food and GTFO.
Yep.
And you have that moment with Xena. What do you make of that?
Well, she's in public, so her face never falls. But there's a little twinge of disappointment and kind of a feeling of the link between Romeo and Anne is based in loneliness and kind of this feeling of someone leaving despite the attempts. And she has this moment of feeling that kind of weight sitting down on her. It's been a stressful, long day. And then kind of shaking it off, putting on a brighter smile, packing up the crepes, and moving on.
Franklin, where do we find you?
I think Franklin is probably immediately after this, he's probably doing some sort of promotion.
Okay.
He's probably taking some gadget apart on camera as he's taking apart. He's like, right here you can see that there's some beautiful craftsmanship. Now on my personal one, I've modified it so that I have a wood grip on this particular camera stand. But if you want to try and do some of that yourself, you can check the link in the description. But let's go on. So he's kind of doing like an ASMR thing where he's like taking apart this camera stand gadget thing and reviewing it.
Look, everybody has their fans, and like tech guys are Franklin's bread and butter. The only downside is that Jimmy Sweet makes you wear that green coat with tails when you do it.
Yeah,
it's really itchy.
Not
it's
good.
Really bad. How do you feel about that attack and what happened? That was different than last time. It was like could have been really bad.
It could have been really bad. Franklin doesn't know a lot about this, and he's starting to think about whether or not he should be trying to figure out more about the megafauna, these creatures that are attacking us. And so that's the main thing. He's like, why don't I put like the story? They should have just blown up the meat hall with Grendel inside it. So how can he apply that to his own thing, and I guess he doesn't know enough about Grendel, so he's gonna. That's what he's resolved to do. And that's how he's gonna lend strength to his team. So he's feeling optimistic. He's like, all right, new challenges, new Franklin, let's go.
I like it. Because it's the Fallout, this is the only time that I get to roll dice. And based on the tier counter for the last bastion, we're going to decide what happens next in episode 2. And give me a sec here. I'm gonna roll. Actually, you know what? I'd like somebody to roll for me. I don't want to roll. It's terrible. Why don't we get Tamara, you did the killing blow. Why don't you roll? Go ahead and roll me a d6, please.
Hammer, I guess.
Oh my. That's a 3.
Oh,
That's
no?
not good. That's not good at all. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. We'll address the circumstances behind that next time. That said, because we're in the Fallout phase, there's a couple of things to take care of. We're going to look at the adversary track, which I'm looking at, not necessarily you guys. It is expanding out. You did really, really well defeating your enemies. It pissed a lot of people off. The way that this works is the more successful and competent you show yourselves to be during the mission, the more seriously the antagonists take you. If you're plucky and succeed by the skin of your teeth, they think that you're like plucky morons, and you'd get like 5 seasons of thwarting their plans. You guys rolled a lot of 6s. So the antagonist track is going to fill up a little bit faster. And I need you guys to do a couple of things. You erase all the stress from your sheet. Any unspent links that you had are gone. Nobody eclipsed. If you were in Eclipse, you do not erase that stress or reset your armor and Transcendence track. We're going to roll Fallout and play out the immediate consequences of that. Well, we'll do that next week. Those problems are a little unresolved, but there's a high alert that Wukong is gone. For the first time in forever, an engine is gone out of the dome, out of the hangar. Cameras went dark, which doesn't happen on the Iliad. And an engine's gone. Arthur still sits where it is. Yours are all where you left it. Wukong is gone. That said, we're going to call it there for the night. Because we got 9:30. We got a chance to wrap things up a little bit. And let's check in with you guys. There's some XP to distribute on things. Did anybody make enough to level up an ability?
Not so far.
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Let me take a quick look here. Yeah, doing all right. I'd like, because again, we're playing a little fast and loose with this. I'd like everybody to roll a d6, because I want you to be successful and powerful in this. The 6, or whatever you roll, is the number of XP marks that you can put into either your own tracks or into the Iliad's tracks. So we got a 6, a 2, a 3, and a 4. So feel free to distribute your individual marks as XP, because that was good. I really enjoyed it. And we're going to fast mode this a little bit. Normally, for Blades in the Dark, we're not assigning XP at the end of a session. It's you mark it up as how you played it through. But again, I want you guys to have more options as we go to show off different things. So, with that, how do you feel? How was that for you?
Great.
Like it?
Yeah. Definitely.
I needed some magical girls in my life, and mechs. We're doing more with mechs now. That was fun. I appreciated that immensely.
I really like the diversity in the team and like the approaches that we all have and the way that we are. It's fun.
And you only have one begrudging ass. No. Every team needs at least one.
I love it.
It's essential to the genre.
You are muted.
Resting bland face. I will.
Resting bland face, indeed.
I would also like to spend the last 3 of my XP towards the Iliad, so we can update it.
Oh, cool. I will add it in.
Got one for the boat too.
All right, so that will upgrade the boat.
Ooh.
Yay! Nice.
If you all take a look at the epic and flagship placemat,
I can't see it.
you should have access to it in the journal.
Nope.
It's under handouts.
Yeah, it's there. I just can't see any data on it.
There's no data, just
It's blank.
Now it's loaded.
There it
Oh,
goes.
here we go.
Ooh.
Starting from the command bridge and working its way out, you can either upgrade the observatory, which will give you 1 dice to engagement rolls for certain hunting Leviathan missions. 1 dice to the mess hall if you're choosing to use the mess hall as a place to meet your companions. You get an extra dice for doing a thing there. You can upgrade the training facility, where you can spend downtime actions to gain 2 XP in Sun. Or you can upgrade the extended berths hangar. Probably don't worry about that one because it's we're playing a short game here. Probably don't need more room for epics that don't exist. You have a finite number. What would you like to upgrade? It has to be one of the ones that are attached to the command deck.
The XP sounds good in Sun. Very
Yeah.
analytical.
At the same time, though, I feel like Anne did talk about the mess hall, like Xena not having spent a lot of time in the mess hall recently. So
Right. So it's actually thematically like on point. I
Yeah.
agree.
I think
Yeah.
I think both of those are accurate. I think it's just a
Mhm.
question of which one we want first.
You did highlight a training facility, and who knows, maybe if you had a better training facility, you'll get a hit off next time. Be a thing.
Hmm.
No.
Your choice, dealer's choice.
Do we want to any other votes?
All right. What's more valuable if all the connection if we basically stop leaving and we only make connections in the mess hall?
Considering Tamris's feelings after this most recent battle, she feels like she wants to have more conversations with the team,
All right.
a little bit more in private.
Okay,
Mess hall might help.
Mess hall it is.
That's all it is.
You successfully upgrade the mess hall. So anytime that you're having an engagement in the mess hall, you get a bonus die. They have a crepe station now. I have decreed it so.
Amazing.
Thank you everybody for stopping by. If you find yourself in Calgary this weekend, we're going to be at FallCon. We're going to be running. We have 7 events for Dungeons and Dragons. We have 7 events where we're running Lasers and Feelings, and we have 7 events where we're going to be teaching newbies how to paint minis for the first time. So tickets are still on sale there. All the events are free to sign up to. You just need to pay for entry into the con. It's one of the longest running board game conventions in the country. It's worth checking out if you have the time. That said, we're also gearing up for our Roll for Wishes campaign come October. We've got a few familiar faces that are going to be joining us. We'll have Chris from Treant Monk's Temple is going to be stepping in and slinging dice with us for 9 hours while we do a fundraiser. We'll have Lydia Corinne of D&D TikTok fame coming in with can only imagine some bitchin' character art. She might do some art for us. We talked about that a little bit. And Scarlet 64, the D and DJ, is going to be joining us as well. Just got a confirmation from her recently. I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of stories we can tell. So thank you again. Thank you to our lovely returning and new faces. And you can find us here next Monday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for more magical boys and girls in magical mecha suits at the dinosaur time end of time. So thanks very much, guys. You have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.